Okay, gentlemen, we're working on 4.5, day 1 of 2 right now. So have a handout ready. And these review questions you can do on your own. Probably best to pause the video, try them on your own, and then come back and see if you got the answers correct. So first question, which graph has the point with the greatest possible y value? If you're going to have the greatest possible y value, you're basically looking for a parabola that's likely opening down, right? Because if it's opening up, the values, the greatest y values are going to be infinity. So if it's opening down, then you're going to be limited to what the maximum value is, okay? So in this case, I took a quick look at them, at these parabolas or these equations, and I noticed that there's a negative a value for all of them. So they're all opening down. That's the first key. So I need to figure out which one has the greatest y value. That means which parabola opens down, but is also the highest up on the graph. So this parabola is facing down, but it goes up 3. So the vertex is going to be at 0, 3. This parabola went left, but then it went down 5. Well, between up 3 and down 5, the parabola that's opening down and has gone up 3 is better than the parabola that went left 2 and down 5, which is going to be down there. So this guy's out. So far, A is the winner. This parabola went 3 to the right and up 4. Well, up 4 is better than up 3, so that guy's now out. And this parabola didn't go up or down, left or right. It just got stretched by a factor of 6. So that's out. And my winner, or my answer, is C. Just erase that off here. Which equation is correct for this graph? All of them seem to have a vertex of -2, right? Opposite of what's in the brackets, -2, -4. So I really can't narrow down based on looking at the actual vertex is -2, -4. The only difference now is the stretcher compression factor. So I've got to look at those and see which one is the correct answer. Now, because it's a multiple choice question, we can make the assumption, we could just look at the graph and solve it by what we call inspection. So I'm looking at the vertex, and if we follow the parent parabola, I would go from this vertex over 1, up 1, right? Over 2, up 4. But it looks like this is not following that pattern. It's going over 1. It looks like it's going up about a half. And so if I were answering a multiple choice question, it's pretty reasonable to say that D is the answer. But if you wanted to confirm beyond the shadow of a doubt, let's say you had extra time on the test and you wanted to confirm it, what you could do is write y equal A, put the rest of the equation in, and then sub in another coordinate like we did the other day with 4.4. Here I've got 0, -2. That looks like a guaranteed coordinate that the parabola is passing through. So I would sub in 0, -2. So I put -2 in for y equal A, and then for x, 0. Okay, so I get -2 equal, this comes out to 2 squared, which is 4. So I get 4a minus 4. Bring the -4 over to the left, and I get -2 plus 4 equal 4a. And then this comes out to 2 equal 4a. So a is equal to 2 divided by 4, which is a half. Okay, so D is the correct answer. It has an a value of a half. Again, it's a multiple choice question. Use your reasonable knowledge here and your math gut and get the answer correct. A parabola has a vertex of 3, -2. As soon as I see that, I'm looking at the different options, and the only one that has a vertex of 3, -2 is this one. So that's my answer. All the other ones have a different vertex. If you want to test yourself, what's the vertex here for B? -1, +7, right? What's the vertex here? +2, -1, -3, -1. Hopefully you understand those. Okay, if you don't, please come see me. The learning goal here is to understand what the x-intercepts are, or the zeros of a parabola. The x-intercepts or the zeros mean the roots. Roots, x-intercepts, or the zeros are, in this case, R and S, the first root and the second root. Okay. And what we're also going to learn is that the x value of the vertex is on the axis of symmetry. We learned that last day as well. Okay. Now, when we're looking at a parabola, this is going to come up in our next question here. When you're looking at a parabola, I'm just going to draw a random one. We know the axis of symmetry is a line that goes down the middle, right through the x value of the vertex. But in this case, we're going to be learning about the roots or the zeros. The reason why we call them zeros is because the roots are known as the x-intercepts. And right here, it's kind of like your GDC practice test as well. In the GDC practice test, you have a parabola that goes down like this. And it asks us, when does the rocket hit the ground? And that means right there. Well, at that point, the y value equals 0 at that point. So whatever that coordinate is, x something, right? Sorry, something 0. And at these points right here, we know that the y value has to be 0 because they are x-intercepts. So the roots are x-intercepts, the y value at those points are 0. Also, the axis of symmetry, again, we know splits the parabola down the middle, okay? But our x value, if you think about it, is actually halfway between the roots. So if I added those roots together and divided by 2, I would get the middle, which is going to be the x value of my vertex. Again, if I take this root and add them together and divide by 2, I'll get the middle, which is the x value of my vertex. And that's going to help us find the vertex. So let's take a look at this question here. Sketch the parabola. When we're looking at root form, it's kind of like vertex, but vertex would stop here and have squared. It wouldn't have that. But in this case, we have 2 roots. Again, if somebody wrote +1, it means this must have been -1. If somebody wrote -3 here, it means this must have been +3. So our roots are actually -1, do the opposite, and +3. Okay, it's asking us to sketch. So far I know that. That's -1 and +3. Okay, this question is asking us for the vertex. Just by looking at this, I can't see the vertex. In vertex form, I can see the vertex. But here, I'm going to have to do a little bit of work. So to find the vertex, I'm going to have to add the roots together. So -1 plus 3, add those together and divide by 2. I should actually say x value of the vertex. That's what we're really finding. If I add the roots together and divide by 2, -1 plus 3 is 2, divided by 2 is 1. So the x value of my vertex is 1. Okay. How do I find the y value of the vertex? Well, once I know x is 1, I'm just going to take my equation over here, right? Take that equation, copy it. I can do this because I did it. That didn't work. Oh, forget that. Just write it out. Might be easier. Right, y equal 2. Oh, sorry, -2. X plus 1. X minus 3. And what we're going to do is we're going to sub in x equal 1. So if I say y equal -2, I'm just going to put that in red. Okay, so now we get y equal -2 times 2 times -2. So y equal 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. But we have 2 negatives, they come out to positive, so y equal 8. Box my answer. So I now know that my vertex, okay, so we found the middle axis of symmetry goes down right here for x equal 1. And my vertex is going to be 1, 8. So if I want to sketch that, I could say 1, 8 might be somewhere around here. Okay, so my vertex is 1, 8. The axis of symmetry is x equal 1. Right? It's the x value of my vertex. And then now if I want to sketch the parabola, I don't know if my parabola is going to go wider like this, or it's going to come down lower like that. It would be really nice to know where it hits the y-axis. If I want to do a quick calculation to find the y-intercept, I could just sub in 0 for x. Okay, so I take the equation again, y equal -2, x plus 1, x minus 3, and sub in 0 for x. And then solve. Y equal 0 plus 1 is 1, and 0 minus 3 is -3. I end up with -2 times 1, which is -2, times -3 is a +6. So my y-intercept is 0, 6. This didn't ask me to find the y-intercept, but this does help me out. Now I can graph like that. Erase that. Do it again. Okay. A little bit difficult to do on the screen, but you get the hint. That's a sketch of my parabola. There's no other markings you need to do. We've got everything labeled properly. Stretch or compression factor, that's given to me in the question right here, the -2. So the stretch or compression factor relative to y equal x squared, we're going to say it's a stretch. I could say by a factor of 2, or I'm going to say a equal 2 if you want to short form that. Well, actually, it's -2. I'll do this. Stretched factor of 2. Direction of opening obviously is downward. And the values x may take, you know this one already from last day, x belongs to the set of any real number. And I can already write y belongs to the set of any real number, but there's a limitation, right? My y values only exist from here down. So that's from the y value, which is at that point, oops, I missed it. The y value is 8. So they only exist from +8 down. So the limitation is that y is going to be less than or equal to 8. That's the limitation. Okay, and that's that question. There is another question here. This one I like a lot. Hint, hint. We did something like this with the vertex form, but now we're going to do it with root form. Just by looking at this graph, I can see I've got 2 roots here, 4 and -2. And the question is giving me another dot. So I've got 3 coordinates. Now, looking at the graph, if I want to determine the equation, it's asking me to determine the equation in root form. But if it didn't say that, just by looking at the graph, I know it lends itself well to root form because I've got 2 roots. It's really difficult to guess the vertex. Okay, we don't want to play guessing games. We want to use certainties in math. So right now I can already fill this part in. I don't know the stretch or compression factor, but I could tell you that one of the roots, okay, that's how we set it up. One of the roots is -2. Remember, here's a tricky part. If I know it's -2 on the graph, when I write it here, I know the x value is -2, so I'm going to have to write +2 there. Okay, we do the opposite, remember? You have to counteract that. So on this side, I'm going to put, I know it's +4, so I put -4 because x is actually +4. And to make this equal 0, I'd have to have 4 minus 4. And my x value is 4. Okay. Now to find the stretch or compression factor, you just have to sub in another point. I have another point. It's 0, 2. So we sub in 2 for y equal a bracket 0 plus 2, 0 minus 4. And I get 2 equal a times 2 times -4. 2 equals -8a. Don't forget to put the number, the numerical coefficient in front of the variable. I divide both sides by -8, and I get a equal 2 over -8, which is really just negative a quarter equal a. So my equation is y equal negative 1/4 x plus 2 x minus 4. That's the root form. Okay, and we'll see you at 4.5 day 2. Talk soon. God bless.